Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday, fun day. I just got a really big zing on my head, so that's interesting. As always, we are here to have an open discussion with you. So please feel free to put your questions or comments in the chat. And Tamara messaged, and she's going through an upgrade at the moment. And so I'm sure many of you are feeling extra, maybe aches. I feel like my hips are definitely gonna little bit of a struggle there, right? And they're tight. When we go for a walk, they feel better. I stop walking for a few minutes, they go tight. Yeah. So how are you feeling today? Let us know in the comments. And we welcome you. If you're over at LinkedIn, I cannot see the comments. It'd be great if you popped over to YouTube or Rumble if you want to listen. And hello over to Instagram. And yeah, we're just grateful to be here. And we know many of you are quite excited for the reading with Tamara to do a read on Canada and the US, but she's going to come on Thursday if she's up for it. And make sure, I always say you come first. Always, in all ways, make sure you put your health first. Your health is your wealth. And so she's been asked to stay still and get quiet. So yeah, Norma Jean, how are you today?
Guys, it's definitely a time for that.
Yeah.
Usually, and these energies are promoting that, given our understanding of what's taking place. And all we can do is just speak to that. This is for you. It really is, and this is that time where you're going to be challenged to either step forward and understand what it truly signifies to take responsibility and accountability for your creation. So that's what these energies are coming through to be able to give you that little bit of nudge, but to also assist you in that acceleration of the honesty that one truly has about seeking to understand who they are in all this. And what that signifies and what that implies is that you're the common denominator. That's who you are. And that's where we begin to understand, if we sit with ourselves and we truly want to know what we've created here, we must begin by understanding who we are in this.
Yeah, we each, please give it a thumbs up, you guys. That helps with the algorithm getting us out there. And hello, Kriba. I'm just saying hello to the Soul Fam. Yes, hello to all of you over on Rumble as well. We've got Berkeley saying hello and Freedom Liberty Lover. Now I'm going to need to sing the Bangles. Nice. And Flispus, hello. We're grateful you're here. And so feel free to write any questions or comments you have. But as Norma just said, as part of my process of taking responsibility for my life and realizing not only was I the common denominator, but that my brain was just giving me what I wanted. And so I was manifesting my reality, and it came in like wham on the top of the head. Oh, shit, it's all me. And then once you take that responsibility, puts you in the driver's seat, so to speak. And you suddenly, oh, if I'm creating this, then how can I shift it? How can I change it? How can I make it better? And so I'll use myself as the example, but it was a lot of personal development. And then after some time, it was, I moved on to more spirituality and more energy work. And so it just became, now it's oh, this is why I didn't like school. I wasn't learning the right things. I didn't want to memorize and then write a test. And when entrepreneurship came around in grade 11 for me, I went, oh, there's something of interest. When Jade first entered high school, I said, hey, where's the entrepreneurship program? There isn't one. Oh, no independent thinkers there. So it's quite profound. And as these new energies that are coming in and the increase, as we would call it, right? It's a matter of what can you do and what can you control. And if it means resting, then we fully encourage you to rest. Rest is always best, or get out in nature. We were at the ocean today saying hello and walked around the farmer's market that was there, and just, just being. And that is as healing, if not more so, because one is taking themselves out of the regular context and getting outside. Absolutely. And exploring. And the dogs always make us smile. I took my mom's dog, and all the dogs are so entertaining. They're like little kids that got let out of the house to play finally, right? And so I actually have a lot of compassion for them, because I'm like, they should be like this every day, right? Every day should be a play day. Absolutely. Norma Jean?
Oh yeah, it's kind of in a way, brought up a synchronistic expression, so to speak, to watch dogs, to see that, since we are in a city, it being Vancouver, and just seeing all the shifting and the changing, and yet seeing that opposing energy stepping up as well, just to understand that, as I was watching the dogs, and they're hyper, they're all over the place, they're enjoying us. Dogs are like kids right now.
Yeah.
And the reason why I even speak to that is because, when you have an animal, you live in the city, they're quite confined. So it's kind of like we've taken, a canine in to a level degree out of its kind of natural state of being, having the wide open spaces of being able to run and play and utilize that energy for, more purposes than to just be of companionship. And, and then that just took me, down this one road of, when I look at it, that was the human being as well, that so many of the things that we were creating and we were experiencing and wondering why we were, is because we were taking ourselves so much out of our natural state of being and taking ourselves out of that harmonious state, because we were moving away so much from the truth of our center of who we are. So, now we're in that space and place where there are those that are starting to go back to understanding that I got to get back to my center. That's who I am. That's where who ultimately the integral and moral and value and worthy individual being resides. So, it's fascinating when you allow that, when you have things going through your mind, because the mind is going to want to make sense of things. That's just what it does. But when you allow just it to be just that observer, when you practice so much to say, take yourself out of this, just let's just observe, man. When you do this and you do this more and you apply that, because you begin to understand that when the heart speaks, man, you listen.
Absolutely. And we're going to get more into that for sure. Yes, being the observer. Kriba says, my friend didn't like school either because she was left-handed, and the nuns didn't like that. They would hit her hand with a ruler. Education in the 60s was rough. Absolutely. I am left-handed. And I was confused even when I was younger. I can remember being shopping with my mom for scissors. She's like, well, do you need left-handed or right-handed? And I couldn't figure it out in the moment. I was a kid. But I think what happened is I'm a little bit ambidextrous and I can write with my right hand. But because I was always forced to use right-handed scissors up until that point, it felt more natural for me. So quite fascinating. So I can use left-handed scissors, but I'm better with right-handed scissors. Go ahead.
I'm ambidextrous as well.
Yeah.
Now, do I know I can do a little bit of writing, but it is fascinating because I can do things with my left hand that most people can't, because they're dominantly. I'm balancing that because my mom's left-handed, and there was it's quite fascinating whenever you look at this, that there are things that you could do, as an individual, that you're like, why are you using your right hand off for all that? Why don't you use your left? And they're like, I can't do that. And I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things that you just kind of come to a recognition of that. And you're like, that's strange, because I can hit left or right-handed. So yeah, it's quite fascinating.
If you're hitting left-handed, would your left hand be in front?
It's always on the bottom. Even when I'm hitting right or when I'm hitting left. Well, I would take it up sometimes depending on what I was. If it was a bunt, then I would put it up underneath.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, see, if I was hitting left-handed, my left hand would be on top, but if I was hitting right-handed, my right hand would be interesting. I would flip it. Yeah. Flispus has a question. Do you think feelings of anxiety could also be picking up others' energy? Abso-freaking-lutely. Absolutely. That's a really common one, and then we're gonna go back to this balancing the hemispheres and how playing around with your hands can help, but, I always ask the first thing, especially if it's a little bit of fear or anxiety, the first thing I ask, "Is this mine? Because if it's not mine, please just send it to Mother Earth. I'm not dealing with this." Right? And so, usually it's because you're in the field with someone else or a frequency's been sent in, uh, we have to remember too that, we have this light spectrum that we can see, and it's basically the rainbow colors. And then, so that's this narrow bandwidth on the light spectrum. And then there's X-ray and infrared, and that expands it so much more. Now, can you imagine if we could see all of that? And I don't know if anybody's seen this, but when we were at Mount Shasta, they had the laser. Do you remember this laser? And they had the laser on the wall. And if you did some DMT and you went up to the laser and looked at an angle through the red, you could see the coding of the matrix. You could see the coding of it because you turned off a certain part of your brain, the light enhances it. Boom, you could see it. I'm seeing this posted everywhere right now, which I find fascinating. I'm like, oh yeah, we saw that like over a year ago. And so nothing surprises us. And I know Norma, as a seer, you also see so much more of the matrix. But back to the anxiety first, and then I'll pass it to you. If it's not yours, please ask them to send it away. And if it is yours, where do you feel it in your body? And is there something I need to know about this? And if you're uncertain how to ask, you can always body dose and ask that way. And then you can, get yourself calibrated that way for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And freedom liberty lovers left-handed as well with the combination. Yeah. So it would be fabulous for you to start even managing your own energy. I know so many are hiding at home, so to speak. I can't deal with the energy out there. I don't want to deal with it. Therefore, I'm just going to stay home and control my environment. It's not really what we're here for, right? Part of this expansion is to get out and see what is showing up in your field for you, because everything is a mirror for you. And so if you're going out and you're being triggered or you're picking up on energies, it's so you can manage and balance it. It's really a gift, because the stronger you get at it, the easier it gets. And then you're like, oh, I got this figured out. Yay. And then something else will come along. This is part of like getting more tools for the toolbox. You will be challenged. You will have new things come up. Norma Jean, that was quite a topic discussion. I don't know
Oh yeah,
where.
for sure. I mean, for me, it was, as a recall, you know, events and things that happened in my life. What was fascinating was that I can recall these moments and know that, I've always had this ability. So why was it that it was just something that I could not utilize each day if I was having these, what you would call epiphanal moments of just clarity and just, I was like, why couldn't I remember that? Why couldn't I hold on to that and utilize that? So as I reflect on this, I get it, given everything that I've come up to this point to understand, whether it be that I was, self-educating myself, through the knowledge of the classical information that's here for us to utilize as a remembering, because it does trigger you. Or it's that you get to that space and place like I have, where now I can hear something, or I can hear someone else speaking about something that I have an understanding of, but when they speak to it, it really brings forth the clarity of, oh, now I know why. Other than the fact that I was lost in my own creation, I've known that there was something that, when you come to understand this at a level that presents that this was our game. this was our game of coming here and understanding ourselves and experiencing ourselves through this this intricate play of the masculine and feminine in one form, to understand, opposing energies and how worlds are actually formed. So,
Yes.
through that, it was, through the recognitions of much of the information I've come to understand, because I keep tapping into just those codes that are, that library that we are ourselves in the DNA. It's just mind blowing how powerful we really are. It really is.
And we are tapping into that.
It's mind blowing, because when you come to realize and recognize what you've done to yourself, and you're going, oh, wow, no wonder things were working the way they were. However, I will state, I will speak to that, because of this, when I came into this lifetime, what I began to realize was that I had those abilities in those connections when I was younger. But what I didn't understand was whenever I was going through this time and I was getting pissed off, and I'm like, I don't get this. What's going on? I should be moving forward, not feel like I'm getting slapped down. Well, it's because in this game, what a lot of us didn't realize or recognize was that, okay, I got to a place in this game that says, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done fooling myself. I'm tired of being lost in my creation. Let's do something about this. So in embodying this time, it was one of those that our creation began to run us.
Right.
And that's when you understand the nefarious works that started taking place. So they started capping us. So every time I'd go to rise, man, they were there to knock me right back down. And I would forget stuff. I was like, why am I forgetting this? Well, what it was what we didn't know what was going on was because they was shifting our asses everywhere. Or at least it was for me. And when you come to that profound understanding, you're like, wow, man, I really messed myself up in here. So let's get something done about this. So to have that, to understand that when we speak about taking and understanding that you are the common denominator, whether it be that you're able to step forward and take the responsibility and say that I want to know. Yeah, you got to be ready. There's a lot to see. There's a lot to see. There's a lot to see about yourself. Don't judge yourself. Just recognize. Recognize that, okay, I see what I did. All right. But to know that the reason why I wasn't moving forward was because of things that were taking place because we had gotten so lost. I can say that when I was in school, I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to be there, because probably on that deeper subconscious level, I knew that I was being utilized for something. And that's the reason why I didn't want to pay attention. I didn't want to be filled full of information. I was a kid. I just wanted to be a kid. I wanted to explore this place in my own way. I didn't want somebody telling me how to perceive this place. But it still happened.
Yeah.
So it's about understanding that, with these anxieties, some of it's ours, and most of it is the collective. But as we shift through these energies, that anxiety is something that you can also utilize. It doesn't always have to be something that puts you in a position and place where it taxes the body. This is where you understand how to utilize and move the energy, like getting out in nature and walking, or doing yoga or Tai Chi, or, something that helps you keep that balance in your body. So that way you're not becoming imbalanced, because you can be pulled to one side. And this throws you out of balance. So this is what we're working through right now is we're in this position and place where we're doing what we can to find that balance within us. And when we talk about, the left hand and right hand and they're being dominant, but there are the ones of us that are both. To me, we already came in with that ability to know that there was those opposing energies. So to come in to be ambidextrous, in my perspective, was my ability to be able to see both, understand both, and to be able to utilize that to bring and understanding in this brain that holds memory that you can recall, to know that from the heart, it taps into the brain to assist the mind in understanding what's going on and what's taking place.
Yes, absolutely. And the duality here, it's always been here for as long as we can recall. It's been here for a very long time, of this between the masculine feminine, right? Which is the yin yang, which is balancing the hemispheres of your brain and your body and your mind.
Yeah, because I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, and your energies. And so, we can always just say, oh, it's the collective, but more importantly, confirm, because it's not always the collective. And it could be you alchemizing something. Like, it's important to allow the alchemizations to happen, especially in this Libra, this little Libra in sun that we're going through right now. What is the Libra? It's the scales. What is that? It's about balance. And so everybody's being rebalanced. The frequencies coming in are adjusting you. It's like you're going to the energy chiropractor and you didn't even ask for it. And then we talk about those energies out there as well, because we've been talking about plasma for quite a while, and plasma has consciousness. And so if plasma can be there, but you can't physically see it, not within the body, we're talking outside of the body at this point, right? And you had some energies, you're in a specific place and you come into some energy, you can't physically see it, but possibly, yes, you can feel it. And does it have a message for you? Is it good? Is it not good? So we have many spirits, per se, to lack of a better word, or energies, whatever you'd like to call it. You're going to be feeling them a lot more right now. Yeah, a lot more.
Agreed.
Yeah, because your veil is thinning. Your veil. So we talk about the veils thinning. Well, yes, the magnetics is energy around Earth. This is why we have a lot more energies coming in. And we talk about the sun, and I was talking about this on Wednesday, how we have this expansion that happens within us, and a bunch of us are doing it at the same time. Well, that energy has to go somewhere. And the sun is energy, and it is our guiding light, per se, of energy that will, right, reflect back to us that which we are putting out. Am I making sense? The stars aren't like planets, they're moving. Mars is moving. It's energy. It's an energy, it's a frequency. And so as those go out and then come back in and then go into Earth, so we're all having growing pains, so to speak. It's energy growing pains. It's going from the carbon to the light body. So is Earth. So is Earth. So watch now. We just had a 9.1?
X9.
X9. So as that goes into Earth, it's going through us, kind of as we speak, goes into Earth. She adjusts to that frequency as well. And what happens? More fault lines are moving. We've had minor earthquakes here around Vancouver recently. It's not, I'm not going to call it normal. It's not common. Hasn't been common for some time. Although it's always been on my mind, so to speak, about when I look at the places right on the water that would easily go in, I'm like, yeah, no, I would never live in this area. So I'm quite high. I'm on 29th. Yeah, 29th Street. So imagine that's 29 blocks up and up. We're up on granite. So of all places to be, I feel pretty good where I am. Are we going to have a big one? I don't know. Am I worried about it? No. Because that just is a waste of my energy, so to speak. Do we have water? Yep. Do we have some extra food? Yep. So I can just relax and go, whatever plays out, plays out. And we got this. And I'm not, but and here's where the biggest challenge lies in all of this, I find, is we have a lot of compassion and a lot of empathy. And if everyone could just send a little love over to those affected by the hurricanes. And I've been doing that daily. And anybody struggling right now that needs a little extra light, a little extra love, don't be afraid to ask for it, because it's very, very powerful what we are sending out. When you keep your vibration high, you should not be feeling guilty about others suffering at the same time. You are doing more for them by keeping your vibration high and sending out that unconditional love frequency than you are of going into despair, sadness, grief, heartache. That doesn't help anybody. Certainly doesn't help you, does it? So we're here for a reason at this time, to anchor in the higher vibration, to lead with love, to anchor into love, unconditional love. I'm not going to say we never said this would be easy. We never said it wouldn't have a little heartache. But you have the opportunity to, you know what? I have a little heartache around this. I'm going to sit down and meditate and send out as much love vibration as I can. I'm going to do something that brings me joy. For when you do that, you affect hundreds of thousands, million people. It's that powerful. This is why we choose to focus on keeping our vibration high. This is why we focus to not be pulled down by lower level energies that are trying to harness our energy by keeping us on a roller coaster ride. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm creating my ride. And I'm going to choose what I'm going to do with my time and my energy. Norma?
Yeah. I mean, it's coming to understand none of this would exist if you weren't here, if any of us wasn't here. We're the observers. We're the creators. It wouldn't be here. Where do you think the energy came from to begin with? We're a part of this. We're a part of it. And it's our responsibility to understand that we are a part of what's taking place, because we've been here so many times.
Yeah.
There are even things where you can even look and understand that if there's a way to express this, when we understand energy, as Tia said before, it cannot be created or destroyed because it's always in transition. And into that transitioning, what we're doing is we're just coming in at specific intervals. But you got to understand, energy is not just moving in one direction. It's all over the place and it's bouncing. Okay? So when we understand that, in order for, if you want to see plasma, stop separating yourself from your creation. If you want to understand what plasma actually represents, it is that malleable kind of, the lube for the friction of all the energy that's moving around. Because something's got to keep it cooled down here. That's how it works within our body. So when we really begin to understand, we have done so much, but we've utilized both energies to do that much with. So it's quite fascinating, the things that I come to understand about myself in ways that, when I look at things, say, for example, Egypt, Giza, and even though I've taken in the information of the classical sense of the information that is here for me to read, because it was written, they've been telling us. The thing about it is but it's a written. So why would I want to hold on to something that's already been spoken to? Because I'm not creating. I'm using something that's already created to continue to assist in whatever's going on here, and I'm not making any evolution through that. You see?
You're supporting their creation.
Yeah.
We've been very led to support those creations outside of us. Yeah.
Right. So when we look at Giza and we see the 3 pyramids, and then you have the Sphinx, and you understand how it sits at that 23.5 degree angle, And you really begin to understand that it's not always what you perceive it to be, but you see it as a cap. You might as well just go in there and get you some aluminum foil, put it around your head. Because it's already written, you see. It's something that's already been spoken to on so many levels. So what is your understanding of what Egypt represents? You see, because when I look at Egypt, it represents the mind. Because the Sphinx isn't so much there for our utilization, if you really think about it. The Sphinx was put there so they could see what you were doing, so they know how to utilize you. But this is my perspective. And that's just from just doing my own research and then sitting and reflecting in my own meditative way and saying, hold up. Because I'm coming into information that's showing me something totally different. And we'll get there. But with this, because I'm looking at something, this information is showing and proving to me that are my eyes deceiving me, or is it my mind? Because you see, when I'm looking at this information in front of me that's saying this, and it's telling me time that this was published, and yet what I was being taught doesn't speak to that, but doesn't represent that information originally, I'm telling you, it's going to make you want to think. This is definitely going to get you outside that box, because you're going to be like, there's no way in hell this happened like this. Not in the way they've taught us how it happens. So how does this happen? Because I'm telling you, really, really, really contemplate and really, really, really meditate on this saying, where there's more than one gathered in my name. Energy really affects how we experience this place, whether we're aware of what we're doing or not.
And we'll give you a little synopsis. So a book came across our radar. I printed said book. I handed the book to Norma Jean, and Norma Jean went, and it pretty much activated her. It's what year is it from? 1890? 1891?
1851.
Oh, 1851. Mm-hmm. It is an encyclopedia. It's an encyclopedia of the body, of all the organs. It's also an encyclopedia of all the states, so to speak, or land masses. We call them land masses. In 1851, they were extremely different than they are now. Remember, Jean, why don't you grab that piece of paper showing that, just so people can have a sneak peek?
Sure, I can do that.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you.
And so this was archived somewhere and someone came across it, and it's not on Scribe. So I know we've promoted that quite a bit as far as different books, but yeah. So we're talking about this. If they all believe this to be true, then we're creating it with them, right? If they're giving us a book that says one thing, this is how they all are, and nobody knows for sure, because who's flying above and actually seeing them? We're assuming that's what they're like. So we shall definitely see. And you wouldn't believe how much more we've been creating, not off-worlders. We have been utilized, our energy utilized to create. Now, we keep saying we did this to ourselves. We did, because we're all intrinsically connected. So did it go a little far? Yeah, it did. Are we finding our way back to center? Yes, we are. Look how far we could go and still come back and find our way to center. To me, that's super beautiful. That shows how resilient we are, how strong we are, how we're done. Nobody's coming to save you. You're going to save yourself when you realize you can shift this. And as we grow in a soul family, in a collective energy together, it amplifies even more. We become even more powerful. This is why with great power comes great responsibility. That's why we take so much responsibility for the actions we say and what we do. And even when people don't agree with us, that's okay. We accept you where you are, because we know where we were 5, 10, 15 years ago. It wasn't a space or place, but I can tell you the energies have shifted so much, so strongly already, that it is being corrected energetically as we sit here and speak. And you will feel more. And so I want to say, get comfortable, get used to it. This is your superpower to figure out how to alchemize this. We've given you lots of tools. Go ahead and show them out, Norma.
All right.
Run through our tools again. Why don't you guys type in the comments what tools you're using to help alchemize the energies you're feeling? The more uncomfortable ones, possibly.
So I'm just going to give credit where credit's due. Of course, I got this from another individual that has been at this for a long time, because we do have our front runners, okay? And this is from Savan Seven Bomar from Understanding. He brought this up. So I'm going to do the best I can to show this to you, because it's going to be hard probably to clearly see. But I want to be able to
let's see it, Norma.
Huh?
Let's see it.
Tell me how I'm doing here, because I can't see.
You're doing good. Pull it back a little bit. Okay, now go to the other side. There you go. Okay, now freeze. Okay, everyone. So if you look at what I'm seeing as and here, like if I remove myself, hold on, I got to try and figure out the other setting. 1 second. There we go. No, that didn't work. I know I lost Norma Jean. Hold on, Norma Jean, you're coming back. Okay, I'm not going to try and fix that. So this whole area, you can see it looks like it's outlined. That's all Mexico, all the way up the West Coast. Right?
Yep.
How does that happen? Actually, we should
where do you see all these state lines at?
There are none.
I don't even see lines, so to speak.
And what's Canada called?
Canada is called Hudson Bay Leander. A little piece on here that said Vancouver.
And what's the USA called?
The USA is called...
Isn't it America?
Hell no. This is 1851, people. When we were talking about Columbus here that came and found America.
Right. So what is it called?
Currentevents. It's kind of hard to see because I don't have very good lighting here. But it's a staten. Staaten. Now, when I look at this, there's Florida. And it goes up into Georgia. And I even see a little bit of Texas down here, because Texas ain't near as big on here as it is today. What happened? And this was printed in 1851. So this is called the Iconographic Encyclopedia of Science, Literature, and Art by J.G. Heck. The text translated and edited by Spencer F. Baird, A.M., M.D. New York, 1851. Published by Rudolph Carnegie. 2 Barclay Street, Astor House. Interesting. Why wasn't this used in our history when we was going through school? Quite fascinating, especially when we get to looking at the human body. Because when you come to understand that when we look at things like this, or at least it is for me.
No, the mitochondria, many people are talking about mitochondria right now. Yeah.
Now, what is that? Does that not like spaceships they used to use in the 1950s and 60s movies? It just doesn't have a window. So as soon as she put this, now look, I was looking at this online, okay? It's a little different whenever it gets put in my hand. And when I really got to going through this and got to looking at it and got to reading some of this stuff, I was like, hold up, something ain't right here. Not that I haven't known that, but I have the proof now. I have the proof of everything that was telling me something's not right all my life. You know, and then I'll look at it and I'm like, you know, our history is so messed up. Our history is so messed up. And as far as where America's concerned, and they wonder why they're going through what they're going through. When we come to understand that when you have more people, when you have a slew of people in a place, especially if it's on a ley line or an energetic, especially when you look at this, because when you come to understand that what you're doing is you're residing within a larger body, I mean, look at your body. You reside within a larger body. We shifted another body. We call her Earth because we are Earth. What did we shift within ourselves, you say? What did I shift within my heart or on my heart? What did I do to Earth? And this is what I asked myself. What did I do? How did we change this so quickly? And then there's all this out there that whenever I first started this earlier, and we was talking about it at one time, you know, where people was like, oh, we lost 1,000 years of time. Well, hell, no wonder. I can understand why now, if that be the situation. Because when I look at this and I get to looking at it, because even looking on Google Maps and stuff like that, I was like, you know, I swear that some of these continents look like brain matter. They look like how the brain is. Just let me see if I can find a good one here. And it's like when I'm looking at this stuff, it's like I get that I'm in a larger body here. I get it because when you look at what looks like mountain terrains, like this right here, like these darker areas and stuff like that, and you see it the way that I see it, because I've also been in the medical field. This may be even a better one here. Oops. It looks like the mapping of a brain. Now, do understand, these are my perspectives, because this is how I'm understanding who I am in all this. And I look at this and it's like 1851. I'm like, okay, so let's even take into consideration that, okay, we're not even 1,000 years into the future. Now, this iconograph was written in 1851.
By who again? Which press? Is it Astor or is it Ask Scott?
No. It was published by Rudolph Carrigue, 2 Barclay Street, Astor House.
Astor. Yeah. So it's interesting because Krivo says Astor House, like John Astor from the Titanic. Very possibly. You know,
I'm just giving you information. What you do with it is up to you.
This is what we do in our spare time.
Look, y'all, I'm having fun, but I'm also realizing and recognizing, man. Look, I'm not here to tell you who you are. I'm here to tell you who I am. I'm here to tell you what I realize and what I recognize I've done to take accountability and responsibility for my part in this. Because you see, what I've been tapping into goes all the way back to Egypt. And that's as far as I've gotten, because it is a little bit of Pharaoh-ish. And of course, you know, we got this one over here. That's all Isis and Tiamat and all that. Because I seen that when she came back from Egypt the first time. I could see her embodying them. But when you get to this information, you start to really realize and recognize, wow, the only way this could have happened is if you got enough people in one place where there was more than one gathered in a name. What is that name? One. So having us kids all in a daggum school, not knowing what it's been built upon, and then showing us this stuff and putting it in our minds.
That would be brainwashing 101, wouldn't it? But it's also manifestation, you guys. It's manifesting the reality that they want and utilizing our energy. Not only did we have to know it, study it, we then had to do a test on it and write it out. You ran it through, you took it in, yeah, you processed it, you wrote it out. What have you just done? You've manifested for them.
And it taught you how to automatically write.
Yeah.
They
Autonomic writing.
used your hand to create this stuff with. Your hand. And you didn't know that's what they were doing. You just knew that you had to go and do something you didn't want to because you were a child. You were being directed to. Because their parents are being directed to. Because they didn't fight this. Because they didn't know.
Yeah.
You see.
And why do you think some of us like moved out at 16 so she didn't have to finish? I went to school, I finished, but I went and I worked. I'm like, this is bullshit. I don't, and then entrepreneurship came along. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And I skimmed through. I did as little as possible, not on the entrepreneurship, because I actually enjoyed that. I'm like, oh, this is abuse. We just didn't know. We just like, and we were all the ones that weren't good enough and didn't fit in. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. I'll be damned if I was going to let them do that to Jade. You be you, girl. You be you, and you do you in your own way. And even now, she knows something's afoot, so to speak, because she keeps doing the woulda, coulda, shoulda. Oh, I should get a job. And then she's like, and her higher self, her intuition will say, you're not. It's not time yet. It's not space yet. And she knows she doesn't need to worry about it. She knows she'll be taken care of. And to have that power within, I'm just so grateful that she's able to stand in that conviction. Yeah. 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 So you see who we are. We're those that were kept and pushed under energetically. Yeah, you guys all stay down there. Okay. All you other ones following the rules and being good kids, you get boosted up. You get boosted up. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Let me
oh,
show
yes.
this.
Yep.
Look at all this. Look at all this. Where do you see a difference? This is what I see. Doesn't make it true for you. I'm just showing you something I see.
And we will get a copy of this to you guys so you too can study it. So you too can learn something new, because knowledge is power and we don't run around. This isn't our normal topic. The reason we got into this was really important around the body, and then how much does that correlate to the land and the mitochondria. So we're are we inside one really big being? Are we actually just individual cells inside one? This is the discussions us two have in this house sometimes.
They don't call it celestial body for nothing.
Right?
Look at this. Look.
Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. You too. Yeah. So explain what you're showing there. It's the back of the skull.
This is under the skull. This is the under, because here's
that's the under. Right. Got you. Okay.
And then you have this skull. Okay.
Yeah.
But look. Where do you think that goes?
Right.
The thing about it is what you got to understand is this is not the place where you see them plugging it into Neo. This is our original highway. You see this right here is direct to the heart, just like the tongue we was talking about last weekend.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I don't want to put things in your mind that I'm not meant to. All I'm doing is sitting here showing you what I see. And then When she put this in my hand, things started making more sense for me too. You see, then is when Egypt really started coming through. And then we look at the Mayan ruins that are sitting exactly the same. And we wonder why so much of this is taking place because of the anchoring in of all these temples. They're temples, they're templates. There were templates used and utilized to create new processes, evolutionary changes with some manipulation, because we thought it was a good idea to separate ourselves.
Right.
We did this to ourselves, but it's okay. We're undoing it. But it had to be some of us that come to realize that and recognize that and take full responsibility and accountability for that. I see what I've done. I did this to my world. I am that world.
Absolutely. And so maybe we've given you a new perspective today, and look at Donna's agreeing. Oh my God, I thought about that many times. We are little cells in the blood of some one thing or something way bigger. I know. As we're driving on the roads, I'm like, and we're cruising down the ley lines, and
that's exactly what I got. And I'll speak to this for a second, T, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
When she put that hand in my or put this paperwork in my hand after she printed this out, that's exactly what got downloaded to me. It's not that I haven't seen it, but whenever you get a download, because you gather and have the proper information and it triggers that, because that information, once you touch it, activates those cells, then it comes and it makes sense. I was like, you know what we're doing that they've not allowed us to do? We're supposed to be in the process of understanding how to build what you would say about as close as perfected being ourselves. We are cells within another being, because there's cells within us as another being. This goes all the way down to fractalizing. That's the reason why whenever I was showing you about the cellular structure, it's very, very important to understand what the cellular structure is and what it means and what it represents and what it does. Because that's us. Because we're living inside a celestial being ourselves. And we wonder why it's a mess out here. Because it's what we were meant to come here and do. We were meant to come here to understand how to create that celestial being of the source that we felt that represents. And that was with opposing energies, because those energies, you just got too aware of opposing energies. And it's been a mess ever since.
Right.
So,
but the good news, we're finding our way back to our center. We're figuring out how to balance this. We're realizing, okay. And so we're taking, this is the beauty of Norma Jean and I. We are, in many ways, opposites. The way she sees, I know. She consumes books and reads like crazy. I tend to take in a lot less info, but I get given things around the energy side, the physical side. And so we have this interesting dynamic that when we get to have these conversations, it's like boom, 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 boom. And then we bring in somebody else who's got some information, and all of us at the same time are like, we just got powered up working together. And so our wish is for you guys. Caroline says my head's gonna blow any minute. Okay,
it's fun though, isn't it?
Slow it down because we're coming to the top of the hour anyway. Okay. Oops. The
human eye, people. Let me give you this. This is the human eye. Look how they break down the human eye in this.
This is not in any medical textbook.
So that's why we say you got to spend time with yourself so you know where they're manipulating you. I'm grateful that this came into my field. I'm grateful for Savon Bomar for bringing this about, because it assists people like myself that's here wanting y'all to know the truth of things, because that's all I'm seeking.
Yeah.
I care less about $1 million home. It's mine anyways. It was meant to be mine, just like it was meant to be yours. As you see, through the manipulation of the things that were taking place and being carried out, they used our energy, our very vitally and important, harmonious, creative energy in ways that we just didn't know was taking place. But now we know. I do. And I say no more. And I say that from here on out, my creative processes will only be to create a world that will bring about a harmony, a balance, not just for myself, but if I can see it for myself first, then I know that it's going to be the appropriate one for the collective as well. Because you see, I'm not going to sit here and fool myself and say that there may not still be these chances and opportunities that devils might not exist as well. But what that means is we got to understand, when we find the balance, to understanding there's a positive energy and there's a negative energy. They're opposing. But when you come to understand them on a deeper level and understand that when you stop hiding from yourself, that's when you begin to grow.
Yeah.
Stop being afraid of yourself.
You're taking full responsibility for everything in your life. For all of it, even the urge to learn something new. And I encourage you, in any way that you do learn and you choose to learn, whatever brings you joy and lights you up, that doesn't feel like, oh, I'm being forced to learn something. For Norma, this is like really good info, and then she gives me the highlights, because that's more of our style. I've got a real, like, I'll pick up, this is important for me, that's important, the rest of it I'll just chuck it because it's irrelevant to me. I don't want to constrain myself in the way I take in information, and even any sort of course, because I do believe that if you can get quiet enough and you can tap in, you're going to get all the answers from within you.
Yeah, because when you come to understand the energetics,
yeah, these are like,
when you come to when you come to understand the energetics of all this, when you really, really, really understand the energetics of all this and how things took place and how it's going about and how things are beginning to come, it's almost like this is an unfolding moment, because what's happening is there's karma out there that's being paid, that's having to pay its debt.
Oh yeah.
Okay. You know how we get through this? We learn our dharma. We step up and we understand what our purpose is. We begin to change and shift within ourselves to realize and recognize that it's time. It's time to quit putting ourselves in that position and place of hiding. It's time for us to start understanding. It's time to stop putting ourselves under anesthesia. It's come to, forgive yourselves. Because when we look at things and when I check my recall, when I recall things that I experienced up to this point, and I always wondered why I did things the way that I did. And I was always leaving myself breadcrumbs. Every single one of us have. Are you seeing them? Are you looking at them? Because they're presenting themselves to you, especially right here, right now. It can't be any other way. So how much are you paying attention? Because you see, whenever I look and I look at the things that I'm like, there's truth to some of the things that they created in these movies and stuff for us to see. But where we're so entwined into the entertainment, it's a form, it's a sale. You're behind bars because you were put in that box. We grew up watching a box, a tube. We were put in a tube because they can manipulate the mind, but they can never manipulate the heart. Because the one thing that I can always was able to count on, no matter how hairy things got, and there were some things that I felt was, man, how did I get out of that and get through that without being damaged whatsoever? I was divinely protected, I can tell you that. And I probably can guarantee you it's probably the same for this one right here too. There are things and there's times that we were having such crazy experiences. And we wondered, how the heck did I get through that? How did I come out where there was others I seen that ended up paying a little bit of karma immediately? And it's because somehow, some way, we stay connected to the very being that we are through the very essence of the truth at the center of what that means, our heart. So it's okay. Forgive yourself.
Absolutely. And remember that my belief is that we chose to come in when we did. We chose to agree to be memory wiped, so to speak, so that we would be hidden in plain sight, so that we would never become a threat, so that we could be activated when the time was right. It's activation time. It's more than, it's go time. Many of you are being activated now. There's those that are ahead of us leading the way. There's us. There's some behind. We're all, I keep getting the visual like we're all a big craft going forward in a way, right? And so we're all part of this. Yeah, I know, right? She's got that capacity. That's okay. You don't have to understand all of it.
No.
You can look at what you want to look at. Look, I'm not going to read the book. I'm not going to consume. I'm reading a book about the hearts from a more energetic point right now. So we all have those things that if we were both reading the same thing all the time, well, what would the point of that be, right? Just got divide and conquer. Divide and conquer.
She's here to do some energetic shifting of things where I'm here to do some interjected we're both here for our own purpose and our own reason to shift some energetics and some understandings and bring some truth back to things that just got really out of hand about what truth really is. You say?
Yeah.
And I'm having fun with this, even though I might have just.
That's the most important thing.
I hope I just didn't overload too many people. That's all I'm saying.
You can always listen again. You might get more of it. So what is she saying? We always say macro and the macro and the micro, right? No, every single cell is always moving. And then we're like a cell as well. Carolyn, too late. We've tried to go really gentle with this too. Anyway, yeah, there's more spreadsheets. The book will come. We'll share. So don't try and wrap your head around things all at once. I always will read something and then I let it rest and I just let it go. And then something will happen that'll go boom right there. This is why. And I'm like, oh, we paired it up. Perfect. So you don't have to figure it all out once. Anyways, we're going to wrap this up because it's that time. And so we really want you to enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah.
To have some joy, have some fun. What are your tools for, I'm going to be having yeah, I love the Band-Aid ripped off. Absolutely. Caroline, damn, I need a drink. I'm going to be doing a little stretching and putting some oil on my left hip. It's the one hip. And I was talking to a male friend in this form, in this lifetime of mine, and we haven't talked for probably 6 months. He's like, I don't know what's going on, my hips. And I'm like, oh. And then I looked at his astrology chart and I'm like, oh, you're a Libra too. Welcome. This is how you're feeling right now, right? And he's like, how'd you know that? Yeah, absolutely. So it's quite profound as we go through this, how these things shift and how astrology plays in, and this big web we weave that it all comes together. So just study what you want to study and find more joy. Yeah. And remember you're loved. Yeah, we got membership. We're having a lot of fun in membership. Once a week we meet and just really open discussions about what everyone wants to talk about. We usually bring in a topic of the week and it's whatever is relevant for that week for the current energies that are happening. And then I took everyone on Wednesdays. We do a bit of more of a healing meditation journey. And then you can listen to that one for the week into the next one. And that's done in Zoom. And we're also, I put out on YouTube today, connecting with your guides. I completely, when I do these, I just channel it. It's whatever comes in the moment. Yeah. And it's important to remember that it's like having a guide. So having a guide, and thank you, Donna, we love you too. A guide in your back pocket, so to speak. We're over on Telegram. We have a group there. There's so much we give away that we don't ask for an exchange on. We're just grateful that we're helping. And so, you know, we would ask that if you enjoyed this and you feel it's relevant for somebody without Nernestining them, that you would share this with others. But if you go over to YouTube, you can see that 30-minute guided meditation. Love some comments. Let me know what you think. This is part of that energy exchange, is to go and to listen, and then, right, and give it out that way so that we can build and draw in the right people. We are seeking those that are soul family, those that realize this frequency and vibration is where they're supposed to be. And they're just amplified by coming and being around us and hanging out and having these conversations.
Mhm.
Yeah. We're not looking for 1 million people. We're not out to affect 1 million people. We only want those that want to stand up and take responsibility for themselves. It's way more fun that way. And we're not saying we're better than anyone else. We're creating circles, and we're learning all the time, as you see.
Mhm.
Never stops. In fact, I think it gets really boring in life when you stop learning.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, I have to say that you think this is powerful, man. There's so much more to this that I can tell you.
There's
But
4 books. She's only into the first one.
you know, but wait till I tell you what the ego truly represents.
Oh, yeah. That's next week. Okay. We love you guys. That was more than enough for one day.